welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man,
that.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful day today.
Kim, you're one of the most sought after vocalists, regionally in any way, particularly in the traditional jazz or, sort of a contemporary or smooth jazz sort of area. My question to you, just right out of the gate, where did you get your start?
Well, it started years ago. My dad, he was a jazz singer, big band singer, and sounded a lot like Billy Eckstine. And when my father died, I was doing rock and roll and heavy metal and all that. And when he died, I did a tribute song to him. And my wife's like, "Why don't you do more of that? That I really like the way that sounds." And so I started doing more of his music, which I wasn't a big fan of as a kid, but when I got older, I really fell in love with the music itself.
Awesome. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in South Central Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Myself as well.
Oh, great.
Good place to be from, right?
That's right.
A lot of influences to pull from.
A lot of influences.
A lot of great people,
Yes.
from that area, that part of the world.
Yes.
And so what I would also ask you is, so that's a little bit about how you got your start, but take us even back further than that. Why specifically vocals? Did you play any instruments as well? Many vocalists do.
I started out playing trumpet, and I remember I love Louis. I love Satchmo, Louis Armstrong, and I remember his lip. And I asked my mother, why did his lip look like that? And she said, because he's pressing really hard on his trumpet. And so I thought, okay. And like I said, my father sang, so I enjoyed, singing and so forth. And growing up with the Temptations and, all of that in LA, and Smokey Robinson, and one of my favorite vocalists was, of all people, Larry Graham with Sly and the Family Stone.
Great bass player as well, right?
Great bass player.
Revolutionary.
Great guy. I got to meet him and his wife, and they're just wonderful people. But that was my influence growing up.
Okay.
Of course, Jimi Hendrix. I love Jimi Hendrix too. So I had a wide variety of music that I listened to, very eclectic.
Awesome. So like a lot of many artists, vocalists and instrumentalists alike, many things that you sort of pull from.
Right.
And what it is that you do.
Yes.
We missed you the last few years ago. What happened? Tell us a little bit, even before the pandemic. You've been gone through some things. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I had some health issues that came up. You noticed that I had a problem every time I would eat sugar, and found out I was diabetic, and had a heart attack.
Okay.
During that time. And so I just took a break from music for a while. And then about 2.5 years ago, my son and I decided to form a group called Shuffle and Bang.
Okay. Shuffle and Bang.
Shuffle and Bang.
Nice.
My son's the bang and I'm the shuffle.
Oh, nice.
But it's taken all of the old music that I used to sing to him and his brother when they were growing up, and my father's music, and then combined it with my son's style of music, which is reggae, ska, jazz, salsa, all of that. We combined it, we called it Island Bop, and that's what we decided to name the album. And so we were trying to have just some albums made, vinyl, and my son did a lot of work with different record labels, so he was calling some of them, asking them what they would charge us. So this one record label he called that had the best prices, took all of our music and everything, and we had already recorded it and everything. So they decided to hold on to it for a while.
Okay.
So I asked my son, hey, what happened with the record label, doing our album? And he said, well, they want to talk to us. Come to find out, they liked what we did and decided to sign us.
Okay.
And so...
What label is this?
The label is called Pirates Press.
Okay.
And here's the unique thing about it. It's a punk label.
Right.
That my son did years ago for these couple groups. and they wanted to go in a different direction. They wanted to go in the jazz direction.
Okay.
So they signed us as their first band in that direction. And right before COVID, we were starting to tour and play, and then COVID shut us down. So my son, after COVID and was talking about getting together and doing more music. Well, I broke my neck.
Oh, wow.
I fell and broke my neck, and had to have surgery on my throat to go in and repair my neck, and it affected my vocal cords and what have you. So for the last few months, I haven't sang or anything.
Okay, okay.
And so my son and I actually went out and listened to some live music, and I went and sat in with the band, and wasn't sure what was going to come out, but everything sounded okay, and a little rusty, but so that I just had a lot of health issues, but I've never given up on my music. I just a lot of things have been, like I said, happening physically, but I'm ready to get back out there and start playing again and touring and so forth.
Sure. Well, touring in general can be really hard on the body.
Yes.
Mentally and physically.
Yes.
And regardless of one's age, even the best of us that do our best to diet and exercise and so forth. But what would you say to someone wanting to, do more of that? In other words, the experiences that you had, would you say that those were attributed to anything in particular, hereditary or diet? I mean, what changes would you make to sort of prevent that, or to advise someone else to avoid that?
Yeah, it's hereditary. I was always a health nut growing up, especially because of music and the physicality of it. But I had a nice 9-to-5 job that I worked that was very stressful, and my eating habits and stress level went through the roof.
Okay.
And a lot of what happened to me would not have happened, but because of the stress and so forth, it came on a lot sooner than maybe later.
Okay.
Because of like I said, it was hereditary, and all these things kind of brought it on. But what I would say to someone is is looking to tour or play a lot, is to get your rest, eat properly, exercise, which is all the things that I did when I was younger. I was in the gym, 5 days a week, and now if you see me, it's totally different. I've gotten older too, so that doesn't help. But the doctor said that a lot of these things that are plaguing me now would have come along later in life, but because of the stress level and other things, it brought it on a lot earlier.
Stress is not a good thing, and there's actually more stress when you're on the road.
Exactly.
You're in a different city almost every night.
Yes.
Different accommodations. Sometimes not the greatest.
Not the greatest,
depending on the budget of the tour. So
yeah,
we can definitely understand that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, listen. In spite of that, what would you make of some of the current developments that are happening right now? In particular, the Will Smith issue. Of course, everybody's heard or seen this, infamous slap with Chris Rock, and a lot of people are taking sides, and a lot of people are closing ranks, and of course he made this really tearful, apologetic acceptance speech. Where he left, Chris Rock out of the apology, but recently, as of maybe today, I believe, did formally apologize to him online, as well as the Williams family and anyone that he sort of left off before he sort of made up for it. So that's all great, but what would you say to the fact that a lot of the people in the African American community sort of understood that, they sort of got that? I mean, would you agree with that, or what would you say to that?
It's interesting. I've been married for over 45 years to my high school sweetheart, and I've had to defend her honor a couple times, and probably didn't handle it the right way. You know, at the time when you're dealing with it, you're not thinking of the ramifications of what could happen after the fact.
Right.
And in this case, I just happened to see it on the news. I didn't watch it live.
Okay.
And of course, my wife took the side of Will because of his wife. And,
Sure.
and how she was hurt. And you know, I took it that maybe Will should have talked to him privately instead of on national or world TV.
Talk to Chris Rock privately?
To Chris Rock privately.
Okay.
And yeah, you know, I don't know if Chris knew about his wife's condition.
I believe he said he did not know.
Okay. See, I didn't hear that, but you know, man to man, I would have just said, hey, you know, I need to talk to you about this. You know, you embarrassed my wife's condition, and so on, and I'm sure, you know, knowing Chris Rock, he probably would have apologized. But you know, they're comedians, and
sure,
all's fair with comedians, and
sure,
you know that going in. So sometimes they may be offensive, may say things that offend you, but I think me personally, now that I'm older, I would have said, hey man, we need to talk. I didn't appreciate the way you handled that with my wife. This is what's going on, and left it at that. Then it's out of the public. It's man to man, and I would have handled, me personally, would have handled it that way.
Okay, all right. And I think probably most people would. However, some of the analysts of this have sort of pointed out that his initial response was all smiles, taking it as a joke.
Yes.
But when he looked at his wife's response, she was taking it completely not as a joke. It's like, you know, I am done with this.
Yes.
And I guess without saying anything, gave him the look of, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
So this, some would surmise, is more of a pride or an honor issue of not being disrespected publicly. So is it possible that, sure, I can, square up with you, like, behind closed doors, off camera, but what about the world that's seeing this right now in real time? How am I going to go out in history? I may not get this opportunity again. Would you say that could have played effect in this?
I think it could have. I don't know either one of the individuals involved, but I mean, sometimes there's that saying about being a bigger man.
Right.
And would have told my wife, I'll handle this. But again, I don't know what was said, to her, to him, but I think that like you said, the time may not have been the right time, the right place.
Right.
And I guess me personally, I would have handled it, mano a mano, privately.
Okay.
Not in front of the world to see.
Okay. All right. So we also know that the producer this particular year of the Academy Awards was an African American man, and we've had African Americans before. I think it was a woman the last time. But in this particular instance, we definitely saw a difference in the cast and people that are included that were excluded from the production in the past. So there are some that are speculating, hey, this could affect the image. You know what I mean? Is this worthy of an NAACP image? What would you say to that?
Well, that's why I said I would have personally handled it, because there was a lot more involved than just
his situation,
Chris Rock,
and his wife's health condition,
right?
And alopecia is a very serious matter.
Very serious.
So a lot of people can empathize or understand what Jada is feeling.
Yes.
And Will's wanting to protect his wife, but as stated, there's a lot more at stake.
Yes.
A
lot more at stake.
So it's easy, I would say, for a lot of us to sort of be quote unquote Monday morning quarterback.
Right.
And look and say, well, I would have done this and that without actually being in that situation.
Right.
Some also speculate that there's even more involved. The fact that they have this open marriage, so to speak, and there may or may not have been something going on that amped up emotions in that regard. I mean, have you heard anything regarding that?
I have not.
Okay.
But, again, like I said, there was a lot at stake there, not just those 2 or 3,
Sure.
but there was a production of people involved that could be affected in the
Right.
future.
Well, we definitely hope not.
Yes.
Because there's so many good things that came from that. So many
Yes.
firsts. You know, having the 3 women as hosts.
Yeah.
They were all very funny and brought something different to the table. And you know, a lot of us have sort of fought for decades to have the opportunity, the platform. So this should not overshine all of that.
Yeah, I hope not.
And let's definitely hope and pray that things just sort of move forward.
Right.
But on that note, from a musical standpoint, you know, of course, he was America's sweetheart for many years, and segueing into film, into television, from going into the hip hop thing.
Right.
You yourself, though, have you had a background theatrically? Because a lot of people have speculated that you may have dabbled a little bit in that area as a vocalist.
I have. I had, as a young kid, my brother was a producer and director of some films. And my sister and I, when we were young kids, were involved in some of his movie productions. One that was at the time endorsed by Bill Cosby.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's the name of that? Do you recall the name of it?
I don't.
Okay.
And I think I was like 12, 10, or 11 or 12, and Bill Cosby was working in the inner city.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother went to Jordan High School in Los Angeles, and so he was involved in college, and so he called my sister and I to participate in some different movie things that he was working on. We were like extras and little bit parts here and there. And then when I was a little older, we got involved. My sister and I were involved in modeling and working with, at that time, Jane Kennedy and some other famous people of the time, including Bill
icon
Cosby.
Of the 70s, right?
Yes.
Jane
and
Kennedy.
That was when that took
70s
place.
and 80s.
Yeah. So the late 70s, my sister and I were involved in things like that. And I got married, had kids, and was about to go on tour with a band, and thought I better stay home and help my wife with my son. And so I did a 9-to-5, and unfortunately it took me out of the music realm for a while, but able to take care of my family financially.
Beautiful.
And then as I got older, I got back into music again, and started working with a lot of the local artists here in Temecula and San Diego. And so had a really nice run with different artists like Daryl Williams and Peter White. Did some things with got the chance to work with
Peter White, the smooth jazz guitarist?
Smooth jazz guitarist. Did some things with some heavy jazz people back in there, and some really wonderful vocalists. Philip Ingram, James Ingram's brother, him and I done projects together. And you know, there's others, but it's been, you know, it's just been a fun time. I wish sometimes that I had gone on and did the things that I wanted to do back then, but I wouldn't trade what I did for my family for nothing. You know, we've had a nice ride, and you know, my son, I supported both of my sons, and my son has gone on to be an internationally known drummer and work with different artists.
Absolutely, yes.
And so it's been a...
And mention your son's name.
My son's name is Corey. He goes by Corey Kingston Horn.
Okay.
And he's right now touring with Gogo Bordello and other groups, and then the one we have together. So he's very busy and giving me time to heal and get myself together so we can get back out there when he gets off tour with those guys. But it's been like I said, it's been a nice ride, and I worked, you know, got a great pianist that I work with, along with Jason Weber, who you've interviewed in the past. But his name is Boy Katindig.
Yes, I know
very,
Boy.
Very famous pianist, and comes from a wonderful family. And we've worked together a lot, and hoping to get back together again as well as soon as I'm healthy.
Right. Yeah.
Get back out there and start performing again, and maybe one day I get to work with you.
Yes. Well, you know, we did do a little something for a minute.
And
I think you popped in one of my shows
yes,
a few years ago, and that was
I've
definitely
heard
cool.
You playing. I ran into you. Oh man, I think it was in Orange County somewhere is when we met.
Yeah, we met. I was a judge at you know, so we have the American Idol and that sort of a thing, but the equivalent for drummers is Guitar Center Drum Off, and I was a judge at, you know, the Guitar Center Drum Off, and I think you were there with your son, I believe.
Yes.
I don't remember if he was a judge as well or if he was in the competition. He may have. I'm not really. Maybe you guys were just in the audience.
I think we were in the audience that time.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where. But then I met you. You were playing somewhere in Orange County, and I sat there, and man, and that's when I really got to meet you, and talk with you, and you know, listen to your music. So, you know, huge fan, and
appreciate that.
No,
likewise,
man,
likewise.
It's just nice to meet people like yourself, you know, and
appreciate that. Likewise as well. You're amazing talent.
You as well, vocals, my brother.
You know, highly regarded. And
thank you.
And what are you working on? In other words, we understand about the project with your son, and you work with Boy on keys and Jason Weber on sax and some different settings.
Yes.
But from a recording standpoint, are you doing any recording right now? Anything coming out?
At this time, since the album, no, we're going to be working on some new music coming up here. Like I said, when he gets back.
Would this be like a self-titled album or the group with your son?
The group with my son.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. We're looking to do another album, and the record label's kind of wondering, you know, what we're going to be doing here next, and so we've got some.
Got to get in the lab, huh?
Yeah. Yes. And
get in the lab.
Yeah, and it's, you know, the band is comprised of a bunch of great musicians from San Diego.
Okay.
Some really San Diego has a great jazz scene.
It does.
And I didn't realize how, you know, man, these kids are amazing out there, and some of the clubs we've gone to just to listen to some of my son's friends or some of the guys in the band when they're playing with other artists. It's just amazing what's out there. And man, you know, jazz is, you know, I thought it was a dying art there for a minute, but it's definitely here to stay, especially with what the young kids are doing today.
Okay.
And these kids are amazing out there, and I say kids, but they're men and women, but some talented musicians.
And this generation.
This generation is in good hands. I'm telling you.
Okay, well, we definitely can concur with that. But on that note, who do you like in this generation, so to speak, as a vocalist?
Oh man,
whether more of a regional or even an international thing, what would you say?
There's a couple groups that I like. I like neo soul and like that, and Moon. Oh man, my mind just went blank. Moon.
Is this a vocalist?
Well, the singer. It's a group.
Okay, but you particularly like the sound up top.
Yeah.
In general, that sort of stands out.
She brings out a nice. There's you know, of course, Donny Hathaway's daughter, Layla.
Layla, yes, who did a lot of work with Marcus Miller and a lot of solo stuff herself in her own right.
She's awesome. And, you know, then there's, of course, a bunch of young kids like, and I say young kids, but younger people like, oh gosh, man, Music
Soul Child?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Music Soul Child. Okay. And man, you know, there's so many artists that I'm just into.
Okay, but lately, if not mistaking your direction, just as your ear is listening to more of a neo soul thing lately.
Yeah.
Okay. And so some of the prominent people you mentioned, Music Soul Child.
You know,
of course, you know, one of the founders of the genre, Jill Scott.
Oh,
you know, you fan of Jill?
Jill Scott. Oh, big time. Jill Scott and Erykah Badu, and there's just so many artists out there that I don't even remember their names off the top of my head, but you know, when I'm driving, I'm listening to it. I just like the groove. I just like sitting there, and it's just, to me, very relaxing.
Sure.
And then, of course, there's a lot of, you know, jazz that's being played out there by a lot of the young people that are up and coming. That is just, like I said, it's just amazing. And you know, I like to listen to music, so I like going to some of these clubs. And
so you're a fan, and not only on the stage, but you're a fan too.
Oh, a big fan,
Beautiful.
big fan, and I like to support live music and people in general. And I guess I just started getting back out there because of my compromised condition. My wife wouldn't allow me to go out anywhere to listen to music.
Sure.
But now, you know, that it's kind of opening up again, I can't
it seems so. Let's just hope it stays in that trajectory,
I hope
right?
so, man. I
Getting
just
better.
yeah, and so I like to get out there and support my friends and support people like yourself. You know, I definitely want to get out there, man. I miss it, and being locked up, and I was going crazy. And I told my wife, I gotta go do something.
We all were. Did you do anything online during that, you know, first couple months?
I did a couple things with my son. And then my youngest son, who is kind of a alternative musician, did something with my son, and so I supported them. And like I said, just getting out, man. Just getting out again and enjoying the music that's out there and what these kids have put together since being on lockdown. And it's just like, wow, some of these kids went and woodshedded those 2 years and just hit the ground running. So I'm really enjoying it.
Cool. Let me ask you this, Ken, as a vocalist, when you're in a musical situation on stage, what do you listen to the most of the instrumentation that's there with you? Assuming that there's no other vocalist, no background vocalist per se, what do you key into the most as a vocalist?
I listen to, you know, the keyboard or, you know, guitar, mostly the keyboard, just to hear the rhythms and things that he's playing or the notes he's playing. So I listen to him most of all, but I also like that drive from the bass and drums.
Okay.
You know, but it's keyboard first and drums and bass, you know, or bass and drums, I should say, and you know, those are the main three things that I listen to, but especially the keyboards.
Okay. Would you say that one of those instruments sort of supersedes the other, assuming there's no piano? What if you're in a situation where there's no piano doing the harmonies and you really just have a rhythm section? What do you listen to then?
Bass.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a vocalist then, from the music that you've done stylistically, you prefer an upright or acoustic bass, or do you think electric works better with what you're doing nowadays?
No, I like the upright.
Okay.
Upright acoustic.
Okay.
Love it.
Okay.
To me, that's what made jazz back in the day, and that's what I love.
Okay.
I love the upright.
Okay, so it sort of puts you in a certain mood, and you can get more out of that with what you want to say.
Yeah, but I also like the acoustic, especially fretless, you know.
So acoustic or fretless?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I just like the way it sounds.
Warmth.
I don't know, the warmth,
okay.
the way they hit certain...
As a bass player, we call that a growl.
Man, I love it. I love that.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
I love that.
All right, well, the bass players are going to take note.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to that, what works. What would you say to a young artist, singer in particular, wanting to follow in your footsteps or even go beyond? What would you say to them, some words of wisdom?
You know, I see these shows that are out today, and unfortunately to me, it's sending the wrong message, because a lot of these kids go to, you know, these shows like American Idol and like that and think it's that easy. But there's nothing better to me than a individual who's worked at their craft,
Okay.
who basically pay dues.
Okay. Okay.
You know, these kids that think, you know, it's like karaoke, they can go out and, you know, oh, I do karaoke and this and that, and then they come into a live setting and they don't know the keys, they don't know the tempo, they don't know when they want certain instrumentalists to come in and do certain things. And, you know, basically as a vocalist, you're directing the band. And
so you got to know music too.
You have
or
to
you
know
should,
music,
anyway.
yeah, or at least a big part of it. And you learn all that by paying dues, man. I didn't go to a school or anything to learn how to sing. I took lessons from different instructors. Went to a couple classes, learning, you know, certain phrasing and so forth. But there's nothing like paying dues, being on that stage, and sometimes you make mistakes.
Okay.
And
you learn from them.
You learn from them, and the musicians that you work with have more respect for you when you know basically what you're doing up there.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. I've seen vocalists come up and, you know, saying, well, what key do you do there? Well, I want to do it like the record, okay? And then they start in before, you know, they don't listen, they don't count themselves, they don't, you know, they don't realize there's math involved.
Sure, sure.
And so I just think paying dues is the best way to go.
Awesome.
Best way to go.
Kim, we all appreciate your story, where you came from, where you are, where you want to go, your words of wisdom. I'm sure a lot of the young vocalists are going to take note on that. And on that note, blessings to you in your career.
Same to you, my friend. Thank you so much for inviting me down.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right.